Hello, and welcome to another episode of What's Happening in Thailand. Today, I am joined by a very special guest who has so many titles that I would like for her to decide on her own. Miss Pannika Wanich, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me in your program. And let me correct you first. I'm not that special, and I have only one title, that is a politician.
Okay, so that's my first question. My first question is, you are many things, and I can name a few of them off the top of my head. A politician, an activist, a journalist, and someone who has been banned for life plus 10 years. How do you identify?
I am a politician. I am a baker. I'm a reader, but that's just my personal stuff. To the public, I am always a politician. And why do you care about the ban that is meaningless?
So even though you've been banned, you are saying that you're a politician. Does it worry you that that is possibly illegal?
I am banned for life. That ban means I cannot run for elections. Whatever elections, from Gamnan Pujai Ban to MPs. Apart from that, I'm free. Okay, I cannot be a minister, but I never look forward to it. I want to be a politician and decided to be a politician since 7 years ago because I wanted to be a part of the change I wish to see in this country, in Thailand. So you cannot ban me from being a part of the change that is happening in Thailand right now.
Are you radical?
Yes.
How about revolutionary?
I am a revolutionary reformist.
Okay, so in general, why do you feel that your presence, whether it's online or in real life, is generally polarizing?
Because I say what I believe in. When you insist on what you believe in and you try to persuade others to believe and share your value, sometimes people feel uncomfortable. And I know, actually, it's actually my task for the party because we have this kind of values that's very normal, very simple for Western worlds. But in Thailand, it seems radical in your word. So in the first years of the party, that's my task. We knew people were uncomfortable with the new values that we try to push towards them. My task is to let them know that it's okay. We are changing things and this country for the better. And there's nothing to be afraid of. That's my task.
So would you say that you are using polarization to your benefit, that it's like intentional?
Polarization is very normal for democratic world, right? Polarization means you are different. In one country, you cannot expect people to think the same, have the same values all the time. Polarization happens when people think differently and believe in different things. I believe in one thing. And to win the battle of politics in a democratic way, you need more people to believe in the same causes, the same values as yours. So you need to change their mind, persuade them. And that's when you have to face with polarization.
In terms of the negative aspects of polarization, do you read the hateful comments and the things that come along with it as well that are not moving towards the positive change that you wish to see? How does that affect you?
I read, not all of them, but I am a kind of a person who evaluates myself all the time. That make ourselves be right in the right spot, right place all the time, right? Because when you are very determined and you just go forward and you don't look around, you might lose your way. That's what's happening all the time for people like us who are trailblazers. So I read comments, I listen to people, especially people who think differently. And sometimes there are hateful comments. There are lots of hate there. I always read and let it go. Some comments are very hateful comments, but it also have its own use if we can use it in the right way. For example, when people just shout at you because you say something, and you think, no, I didn't mean that. you have to study that a lot, because if they understand the thing differently from what you intend to, especially for people like me who works in communications, that means it's a bad job for you, right? You miscommunicate. That's not a good job that you did, so you have to improve yourself. You say this, you want them to believe in that, but they believe in totally and understand it totally different way that you intend to. So you need to make sure that it doesn't happen next time.
At one point, you said that you became a politician because you couldn't make change as a journalist in Thailand. Specifically, how do you feel about the current Thai media landscape?
I always feel sad with the media industry in Thailand, because I have lots of many foreign journalist friends, and they complain a lot about that job. But compared to Thai journalism, I had many friends who work for Al Jazeera, for BBC, for France 24, and they have an opportunity to follow up with one case. For example, Rohingya case. They spend months following this issue and make a very, very good news clip, or maybe even short documentary, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and spend 3 months on it. We Thai journalists never have that chance.
Why?
In one day, you need to produce at least 2 or 3 articles, or you'll be fired. Because the media industry need that, we work at a very low wage, and everyone is pressure to do as much work as possible. And now it's all about rating. Not now, forever. It's all about ratings. And there is a myth in Thai media industry that rating equals dramas. Rating equals someone shouting at another person, or politicians fighting, hating each other. And that kind of news, you can just spend 30 minutes to produce one article. It's cheap, it's easy, it's quick. It gives you ratings. And this kind of myth, eat up yourself.
Do you believe that the stereotype is true that foreign journalists are able to ask tougher questions to politicians, for example?
That's because you are out of patronage system, and you cannot be pressured by some ministers who call your boss and say, who is this children? Who is this girl? Who is this boy who asked me that very profane question?
But if the question is harsh, either way, don't you think that they would punish the foreign media the same?
Actually, there are cases about foreign journalists who were kicked out of the country because of some harsh questions they gave to powerful people in this country. Yes, that happened. But for Thai journalists, it's not just being kicked out of work. Your life will be in problem.
So personality journalism is kind of taking over the world, actually. But in Thailand, in my opinion, at this moment, we are seeing more personality journalism than ever. It's one way that people can make money as journalists, an independent brand. So I understand it. But I think that it could have consequences for democracy. And I'm curious on your take about the current state of personality journalism in Thailand and its effect on democracy.
I believe that social media paved way to democratization in media, because everyone can be a journalist, right? You have Facebook Live, you have TikTok Live, X Live right now. You can do a video clip on your own. You just have a mobile phone. You don't even need a camera. And I still believe in that. But the power, the benefit of being in a big house, for example, BBC or CNN or Al Jazeera, France 24, you name it, Reuters, AP, that means you have a good backup. Like you just said, one foreign journalist can be kicked out of this country if they mess up with powerful guys in this country, but their media outlet will back them up, will support them. But I still value personality journalists or non-mainstream journalists a lot, because they relatively have a lot more independence than when you are in a media house. You can create your own way, own style of storytelling. You can set your own agenda, and the power of agenda setting. I think that's one of the main tools that the media use to guide this world. And when I say to guide this world, it might sound scary, but I totally believe that one of the good thing about being in media, especially in a country that still needs more democratic force to put the country forward. I think media should be the voice of the voiceless and guide this country to a more democratic.
That said, would you say that being a journalist in Thailand is dangerous?
Yes, of course. Being a bold journalist in Thailand is dangerous. Being an obedient journalist in Thailand will make a lot of money.
Really?
I think so. I don't know because I don't have that experience.
Why is it dangerous?
When you are a journalist in any country, not just in Thailand, there is a high chance that you always meet with powerful people, right? Because powerful people are always in the news. You are always covering them. And I always say we must be the voice of the voiceless. And when you are facing this very loud noise of the society, you occasionally have to challenge them. And that brings danger.
Like what?
Some journalists, even from big media house, we call them กองหน้าหน่วยหน้าแนวหน้า the front. There will be seasoned, experienced, age journalists, and they will dare to ask the Prime Minister. During that time, General Prayut Chan-o-cha was Prime Minister, and there will be very few journalists who dare to challenge him with questions. A few of them maybe cross the line, and they were threatened. And I mean, they are a very experienced, seasoned age ขายใหญ่ of the รังรถกระจก you know that a group of journalists who are always stationed at the government house. But that kind of journalists, they still face threat from the government when they cross the line.
So that said, like in looking back to being bold and also the reality of the danger, where do you feel that people can get fair and balanced news in Thailand right now?
Actually, it's a good luck for the Thai people that now there are more and more non-mainstream media, you say personality, journalists, and these kind of people, what they lack is a chance to face with the real powerful people. For example, the Prime Minister or the ministers, like 4i meeting, they cannot do that because they usually have their own studio and just criticize the government. But they give a bold criticism and they will point out what's wrong, what's the problem with each policy. And I think that's very good for the people. It's food for thought for the people. They can listen to them and believe them or not. But on the opposite side, the journalists who always follow the Prime Minister and the ministers, they are kind of a group of journalists who always have an opportunity to ask, but they will not dare to ask because they have to live with that kind of system. They meet with the Prime Minister and the ministers every day. So if they mess up with them, they might not be allowed to be in that position anymore. It will be better if those journalists who have an opportunity to ask directly harsh questions to the Prime Minister will ask. But when they cannot do that, at the very least, it's good enough that journalists who work in studio criticize and always scrutinize the policies of the government.
Would you think that Thai people should still aspire to be journalists, considering your experience and what you know?
As a politician, I always say this to the people. Please don't think that the only way to change the country for the better is to become an MP or to be a politician. Each and every occupation, every job can be a part of the change. Actually, to make change happening in this country, we need everyone in every field. And maybe because I was a journalist before, I think one of the most important job to push the country forward, democratic path, of course, would be journalism, would be good media. Good media is always an important force to democratize the country.
You've been quite defiant of your lifetime ban. You have even fought harder, it seems, saying, quote, you'd come back to haunt them. Does being banned for life ever make you feel hopeless?
No. I'm angry. I am still angry because it's not fair, not just for me, but I think for the people, because we are choices for the people to make during elections, right? And now you are kicking out choices that people should have a right to make. It's not that I'm important. They will choose or not choose me. It depends on the people. But there should never be any other force than the people to decide that no, you will not be a choice anymore. Please, out of the game. That's not fair for the people.
What exactly is your current role? I know that you said in the beginning, but in terms of us discussing the politics, what exactly, what is your title?
Official title of the executive committee of the progressive movement, a political movement. I am also a commissioner for the Deep South Peace Process Committee, the extraordinary committee of the parliament. I am also an advisor to the Security and Border Issue Committee at the parliament also. So I'm actually busy, and I think half of my work is still engaging with the parliament. Apart from that, I work with the people. I go to the rural areas across the country. I've been to all 77 provinces already after 7 years of my political career, and I'm still traveling around.
Okay, you've been banned from doing things in a certain way. There's a certain number of things that you can do. What's different about what you're doing than what people are alleging former Premier Thaksin is doing in the Pheu Thai party? It's influence, right?
I never hide or pretend. I am still active politically. I never say I will be at home raising my grandchildren, right? I always say I'm still a politician, and I'm doing on the ground.
Do you think that
Not behind the scene. I'm not behind any scene. I am always in the spotlight.
That said, though, do you feel that it would be more acceptable if he would just be open in the same way that you are?
You know, a ban that happened to any politician, Kun Thaksin, Kun Parina, it's not fair. Like I said, because you are allowing other forces that are not the people's force to decide who is to be out of the game. Kun Thaksin should be in the game, right? He should have been. But he lacks that chance already because of the legal warfare happening to him just as it happened to us. If I am a powerful people of this country, I wish Kun Thaksin to be active in politics. And even now, I think he should be appointed as an advisor to the Prime Minister. Some people will say, no, it's a conflict of interest, but you cannot deny his role, right? With or without this official position, he is still engaging in politics. So I think let it official and let him do what he thinks is good for the country. And the people will decide in the next election. That's fair for everyone.
Do you think that people who have been convicted of serious crimes should hold political office, even in terms of advising?
Yes, after they finish with their jail term. That's it.
So do you think that the appointment of Phichit Cheunban was unethical?
Corruption case in Thailand is a very subjective issue. I don't like corruption. Our policy since Future Forward era is zero tolerance for corruption. the people in Thailand, they kind of believe that most politicians are corrupt. And I don't know, that might be true. But, corruption case at times, especially after a coup d'etat, it became a legal warfare and some charges were put to politicians unfairly because all the process happened after a coup d'etat. For Kun Thaksin case, if I were the Prime Minister, he'll be back in Thailand. Of course, he has to be in jail because the jail term was already done for him, and we'll begin the process again. And he will have a chance to prove himself in a due process, and that's it. If he's found guilty, he'll be in jail. If he's found not guilty, he'll be out of jail. But we'll guarantee the due process, and that's it. You deal with corruption case fairly.
But as it currently is, though, do you think that it was unethical to appoint him because of what he did?
Phichit Cheunban's case, that is not political case. He is actually found guilty of bribing the judges.
He was found guilty of contempt of court.
Yeah, but because of the bribe, right? That's not political case. But the question is, the Prime Minister who appointed him as a minister, is that against ethics of politicians?
Because he was a criminal, not the other potential reasons why.
Criminal charges are one thing. Ethics is another. The Prime Minister should not be punished from appointing anyone who served his jail term already. If he appoints a drug dealer who is still out there and not serving any jail term to be a minister, this is extreme case, it will never happen, right? This is of course unethical. But if the person is found guilty, served the jail term already, back to the society, why not? And why do the people still believe that the Prime Minister is guilty of doing that? Of course, it might be inappropriate. But inappropriate is not equal to illegal or unethical, right? Sure. If I were him, if I were Kun Srettha, I would not appoint Kun Phichit. If I am to make it clear, I will not appoint him because it's inappropriate. But if Kun Srettha decided to appoint him, it's very silly that Kun Srettha is out of office because of that reason. That's clearly a lawfare against him.
You're a big-time LGBTQ ally. You've said many times that it's one of your biggest human rights initiatives. With marriage equality now on the way, I would agree that there's a lot of next steps for achieving equality for queer people across the board. What I'm curious about as a human rights advocate from your perspective, what is another human rights concern that the government can take immediate steps to fix?
You mean about gender or?
I'm acknowledging that LGBT is not done at marriage, but I know that you are aware of so many human rights issues aside from LGBT. So what is another human rights issue that you think the current government can take immediate steps of action to improve?
Freedom of expression.
Please.
Especially when the government has a flagship policy that totally depends on creativity, that is that soft power thing. I think freedom of expression is not just only basic human rights, but it will pave way to creative economy.
How is our current freedom of expression limited?
And when I say freedom of expression, it's not just about Article 112, right? But of course, that's one of the focal points for freedom of expression. I am also talking about in Portable Papillon, there's this film act, movie act. I don't know what's actually an official word for it. You have one committee who has a total power to decide whether or not this movie can be filmed in the country. And it's the power of censorship. So when I say freedom of expression, one focal point, of course, 112, also the Film Act, and also there is one draft law about ethics of academic work, academic research, and that's very scary because you are going to censor research as well, and that's the field that has been relatively free in the past.
I would say that I didn't tell you this before, but I'm also like expert on the Deep South. I would say that freedom of expression particularly applies to the Deep South, where there's martial law. And what I'm finding in the Deep South is that there's no expression of truth. In terms of when I talk to everyday people, they're scared to tell me because they lack the trust.
And that's interesting point. One time I met with a Buddhist person in the Deep South, the minority Buddhists there, and they complained a lot about their freedom of expression being violated. And that's completely a new thing to me because we usually talk about Muslim majority whose rights are violated there. But the Buddhist people, they also say no. When we try to say that the government's policy in the past 20 years never work, even we, the Buddhist people, can feel it, that it's not going to solve any issue in the Deep South. They are threatened by the military. And the military always say that they are trying to protect the minority Buddhists there. But even the Buddhist people there, they feel that they lack freedom of expression to voice their disagreement with the policy of the government there too.
Guests on my show have often been to courts and jails.
Yeah, I've been to court a lot.
Yeah, and you are outstanding in that you have been to the most. You've been to the criminal, the constitutional, and the Supreme Courts. You were banned for life plus 10 years. The establishment is clearly against you. Will you ever give up on amending Lèse-majesté?
No. And many people misunderstand about this point. The verdict of the Constitutional Court didn't forbid the amendment of Article 112, but it gave strict recipe on how or to what extent we can amend. And that's not my area because it's a technical legal issue. But I totally believe that the People's Party will continue to fight for this, but we have to come to terms that there will be very little support from other political parties. But
are you willing to soften your stance, even to make it a little more palpable to the conservative establishment?
In the past 7 years, we try, and we are still trying, to make sure people understand that to amend Article 112 does not equal to abolish the monarchy or even to undermine the monarchy. Actually, it will give the monarchy a stronger stance and a more appropriate position in this modern society.
So to be clear, you're not anti-monarchy?
No.
Do you ever worry, though, that you could disappear like, you know?
Since before I decided to enter politics, I acknowledged the risk. We knew since that time, before we even had the name of the party, we acknowledged the risk that we might be in jail, we might be banned, we might be killed, or we might be in exile. And we acknowledged that risk, and every one of us decided that what we are fighting for is worth all the risks.
The idea that the country is divided, I think, is pretty widely accepted. There's been periods of division. The most common reference is the red shirts, yellow shirts situation. And as it seems now, it's evolved a bit. It's more nuanced, kind of the younger, more progressive values versus the older, more traditional values. And I'm curious, from your perspective, where are we headed with this?
I'm not saying it evolved a bit. I said it evolved hugely. It's not red and yellow anymore. And people always make a joke that orange is from a mixture of red and yellow. I think now it's high time that people realize that the past conflict between the red and the yellow is not the real polarization of this country. Now it's clear, and people can see that it's not about the red and the yellow anymore. It's about the people and the establishment. And when I say establishment, it's not just about the military, but it's all about the monopolized business. It's not the whole military, but the generals who engage with politics and intervene in politics all the time. I think it's high time people see that it's not about red and yellow. It's about the people who need change and the establishment who desperately want to keep the status quo.
But does that perspective dismiss the people who are just people but are not part of the establishment? The conservative group of people in this country, they exist. ใช่ไหม? So the way that you describe it is that it's all the people versus the establishment, but it seems to me that the division exists too amongst the people.
Of course, there are people who support the conservative camp or the establishment, but I'm talking about the 99% of the people. Not 99% of the people will vote for People's Party or any other party, because that's impossible in a democratic realm, right? But when I say the 99 people, I mean the 99 people who are not benefiting from the current status quo. And the people realize more and more that it's us the people who are calling for the change against them, the establishment, who always keep that status quo because they are getting rich and richer every year because of this current status quo. I think now more than ever, people have come to realize this fact.
Does Koh Kood belong to Thailand or Cambodia?
Koh Kood belongs to Thailand legally. There is no argument about that. But this is a very toxic issue, and I hate it when people are arguing on this stuff, because when it comes to nationalism, people tend not to talk reasonably, but emotionally. And that's toxic. And if I will have to say anything about OCA, I think we should see it as a negotiation. And when we call it a negotiation, we'll lose some and we'll gain some. There is no negotiation that you gain 100% or lose 100%. That's not called a negotiation. Or you are a very bad negotiator. We need to let it happen, to develop and to make use of the resources in the OCA. We need a negotiation to conclude, to finish as soon as possible.
Why do you think that we're all of a sudden fighting about it at this moment when it's been an issue for a long time?
Every time Kun Thaksin is in power, he pushed for this. This is not the first time. During Kun Yingluck, they tried. During his own prime ministership, he tried. But it's still not successful. I believe we should finish this.
Why is he doing that? What does he want from this?
Of course, it's about lots of money, because it's, I don't know, trillions of dollars of the value of the fuel down there. And that's the point that we should scrutinize very critically, but not about nationalism. This is not about nationalism. We know that there is a huge national resource down there. We need to finish the negotiation as soon as possible to make sure that people of Thailand and the country make use of that resource before it's too late. The important point is that it's going to be shared fairly. This huge, I'll call it national treasure to sound a bit more right. National treasure should be shared fairly. And if the people believe in the process and trust in the process, you can continue. But now it's not going to be what I said. I think the people still have lots of doubt about the intention of Kun Thaksin trying to push this scheme forward.
Liquor liberalization has been something that you have fought for years over several political parties. It has also spilled over into a very strange public debate of sorts that just keeps coming back. Do you acknowledge that alcohol is the deadliest drug in the world?
When back 5 or 6 years ago, liquor liberalization was and has been one of the flagship policies of Future Forward Party, Move Forward Party, and the People's Party. And the first and foremost focal point that we had to tackle since that time we started the campaign was to make sure people understand that we are not encouraging people to drink more. Because you said road accident in Thailand, which number one, number two.
It's in the whole world.
In the whole world.
Alcohol is actually, while researching this, I shockingly found that alcohol is statistically more deadly than fentanyl.
So we have to make sure that please understand we are not encouraging the people to drink more. The people who drink will drink. The people who don't drink will not drink. We are encouraging more entrepreneurs to have a chance to produce. And consumers will have a chance we have more options, we have more choices, that's it. In every event, every occasion, we campaign about this. We always have to tag along the campaign, drink responsibly. Because this is very important. I drink alcohol. Many people drink.
And I'm a recovering alcoholic.
I drink alcohol, but I am opposed to people who drink alcohol and drive. It's irresponsible, not to yourself, but to the whole society, right? You can kill people out there on the street, and there are many accidents happen from drink driver. So I think that's the challenge we already overcome.
Okay, but to be fair, while we're on that point, the Move Forward Party campaigned very publicly against labeling that would have taken up a large portion of the bottle. And just last month, actually, the labeling finally was passed and with immediate effect. And the new labeling requirements are such that the label is like this big and it's only text. Before, it was proposed that the cautionary label would take up a larger percentage of the bottle. But the stance of the Move Forward Party was that it would harm the sales. This tiny little label with just this text, and only in Thai, is that enough?
What we need is a curriculum at school to drink responsibly, an efficient, effective gender study about sexual behavior, this kind of taboo issue. Children should learn it from school. And if you are acting like these things are demons that you should never touch, it's going to be like this, no matter how big the label is. Also about tobacco.
But that's what I was about to say. Actually, studies show that the labeling on tobacco has been effective. The scary labeling of people that are very ill or they are having, you know what I mean? That it has worked.
Actually, tobacco is even more dangerous from medical study, right? And also dangerous to others who are around you, around the smoker. I think the label, in some case, let's think about it. About alcohol first. When you drink alcohol, do you actually read the label, the warning?
If I was drinking, would I read the label about the warning?
No? No.
If the label was taking up 50% of the bottle, yes.
Will it help?
Yes.
Will it help
For me, yes.
to prevent you from drinking?
Well, to answer the question in terms of society, I think we can look at the data from the anti-smoking advertisements, which worked. I thought it was a bit of an overreach to censor cigarettes from movies. That seemed too much, but to put the label on cigarettes was effective. Yes, and so I think people read it.
I think to make the label effective, it's not about text, it's about graphic photo, right? When it's effective on tobacco label. And people, it's too scary for them to look at it and still have that yearn for smoking. But for alcoholic beverages, I don't think the label will help. I actually still don't agree with the big label with graphic photo on the label. I still believe in schools to play most important role in trying to make the children understand since early age that smoking is bad for your health and for other peoples around you. And I think it will be up to their decision. You should believe in your own decision making process in your brain. You should believe that if you teach the students good enough, they will know what's good for them. Even they know it's not good for them, at the very least they will know how to smoke responsibly, like not to smoke in the public, kind of that stuff.
Can people trust the Thai police?
My grandfather was a police officer, and a good one, and his life was tough. In general, I'll say we should trust the police because they are the security force that you meet in a daily life, right? The fact is, you pay them, you bribe them, and bad cops are powerful cops in this country. So to answer your question, you should trust the police officer. The thing is that we need to make sure that the police officer is trustworthy. And that's the role of the government.
How can the average person who has to deal with the police manage the systemic corruption within the police interactions that we all have, some of us every day?
You mean at daily life level?
Yeah, I mean, because the government is failing to remove corruption from the police department. I mean, that's my take on it. There was just last year a major meltdown, a power struggle at the top of the Thai Royal Police Department that was kind of left unresolved. How can the people protect themselves, or how can the people fix the issue of systemic police corruption?
I don't think it's the people's duty to fix a systematic corruption. That's too much a responsibility, and you cannot push it to be the work of the people. I think that's the government's area, and you can solve it by actually establishing a merit system within the police circle. And very basic. At the very first, because the merit system is very hard to establish in this corrupt, rotten to the core system of the police and also the military. If tomorrow I wake up and be a prime minister, first establish a hotline, online, a system that allow whistleblower, allow people to file complaints anonymously, and truly scrutinize the case, each and every case. And I think that will help a lot because tons of people are facing this corruption and they have no choice but to bribe a police officer every day. So if you establish this system that is trustworthy enough that you not be in danger by being a whistleblower, a good police officer, because I'm a family of a police officer, I truly believe that there are many good police officers out there, and they want to keep that dignity, their spirit of being a good cop also, and they will be a whistleblower to report any misdeed within the circle. So I think first the government should establish this kind of hotline or any kind of system. You can use Fondue, right? That you can be anonymous and you file complaints through line application.
You've said that you don't like the idea of belonging to or representing just one nation, that you are working for all people in Thailand, regardless of their origin. How do you assess the current Thai immigration system?
That's very related to corruption within police circle. Many illegal workers send us evidences of police taking bribes, military officer taking bribes, but they ask us not to reveal it, not to expose it to the public. That's very weird. I didn't understand it, but after they explained, it made me so sad. They said, I just wanted you to know there are problems like this, but if you expose it to the public, the system will be destroyed and you will not be able to work here anymore. We will be sent back to the country and that's the end of our life. So, I don't know, maybe hundreds of thousands of illegal workers in Thailand, their life depend on this corrupt system. They are forced to live with it, no choice. So they are willing to pay and they are afraid that this corrupt officer will be fined, caught, exposed, and this only pathway to a better life for them will be shut down forever. That's very sad.
There's migrant workers, and then there's also people like who come from the West as expats, this type of thing. Would people running from Donald Trump's America enjoy the current version of Thailand?
You cannot run from one hot pan to another hot pan. I don't think it's a good choice to run away from Trump to the current Thailand. Of course, we have good food. Of course, we have good and cheap accommodation. Of course, we have a very hot weather, very clear sky with little PM 2.5. In general, Thailand, the Thai people, they are friendly with foreigners. And when I say foreigners, I mean Western foreigners, Farang people will live happily in this country if they have enough money. If they don't have enough money, they are facing lots of problems. We don't have good mass communication system. We don't have good police you can trust on. And we don't have good enough infrastructure. It's true that I think in the past few years, Thailand has become a destination for digital nomad because it's cheap, because there are beaches, because it's a nice weather here. They love Thailand. It's good if you can work from anywhere in the world. Many people choose Thailand, but immigration system in Thailand just so and full of corruption. And the problem with Western foreigners is that the police officer, the migration officer will deem you rich, and they can take money from you. Thailand is rotten to the core. Everywhere you go, everything you do in your daily life is filled with corruption. I don't see the future of transparent Thailand anytime soon if you don't change the whole structure of this country to be more meritocracy.
Most parties agree that we need a new constitution. Is it possible under the current government?
No. And that's not my saying. It's actually from the government side that they confessed already to the public that it takes time and they will not be able to finish it before the next election.
So
that's expected.
So do you think that this government will last the full term for another 3 years?
They will try the hardest to survive full 4-year term because they need time to deliver policies and they need time to prepare themselves for the next election because everyone knows if the election happens tomorrow, who is going to win the most? Of course, tomorrow if election happens, the People's Party will win, but also not enough to form a government. So everyone needs more time. The government needs more time to deliver policy, to make people believe that they can really do better economy.
The people don't believe that the current prime minister is acting on her own behalf. Do you?
Most people in Thailand doubt that she is serving the people Many people in Thailand, I don't know if it's majority or not, but I would say many people in Thailand believe that she's serving her family. So that's an issue of trust. And as a politician, I realize that trust issue is the most important issue for any politician, not only in Thailand, in any country in the world. If the people lack trust in you, you are dead. I think the most important challenge she's facing right now is trust issue. So she needs to do more to prove herself that she's truly serving the people, not her own family.
You said that the People's Party would win a snap election. The People's Party is doing well at fundraising. However, the People's Party is also losing key elections. What's happening?
In by-elections, we usually lose. That's for the record. Because in by-elections, it's not in general election. Each and every party will send their representative, their candidate, and compete each other. In by-election, normally there will be only 2, at most 3 candidates, and that will divide votes into just 2 separate camps. And usually in by-election, you have to win more than half. For example, in Phitsanulok by-election case, you need more than 50%. Also in PAO local election, provincial level election, you have only 2 candidates. That means you need to gain more than 50% of the vote. And that's a challenge for us, especially when everyone in this country know that our base voters are people in a younger generation, and many of them work in different cities or maybe even abroad. And in by-election and in local election, you don't have advance vote. That means many people who would vote for us will not be able to come to a voting station on that day.
But is the party actually building momentum?
We need time. And that's the cost we have to pay for the dissolution of the party. It's 2 times already. This is the 3rd generation of Future Forward Party, from Future Forward to Move Forward to People's Party. And I hope it would be last because I love the name of this current party so much. It means so much to me. So please don't dissolve this party. I don't know, the 4th party's name, that name would not be this sexy. Please keep this People's Party alive. Every time we face with a dissolution, it means lots of paperwork, lots of the backup plan, and you need to build leadership, you need to build more membership, start from zero. And that takes time, especially to build trust in the new leadership. Yes, the people still trust the party, but the party needs the people to lead. And you need to regain trust for the new leadership.
So speaking of the party, one of the most common words used around it is movement, momentum. And for years, people have asked me about the 2020 protest movement and where it is. And since 2020, we have lived through some pretty serious times, some things that you would have thought there would be people on the street. And foreign editors contact me saying, is there a protest happening? But there's no protest movement. What is your take on this? It's a fact. I have been so many times where I thought for sure people would be mobilizing on the street, but they're not there.
Many people, especially foreigners, diplomatic crews, ask me a lot before and after the dissolution of Move Forward Party. Will there be a protest?
Exactly that.
I said no. I don't know. I cannot read people's mind. But if you ask me, I would say there would be no protest. Why? During the dissolution of Future Forward Party, people believe that there is no more a political party we wish for and we hope for. There will be no more Future Forward Party because they dissolved the party. People were angry, very angry at that time, because they believed that this very party that has been dissolved would bring change that we believe should happen to the country. They were very angry, and they unleashed that anger on the street. The second time they dissolved the party, people were very angry, but I don't think any single person in Thailand believed that the dissolution would bring an end to the party they wish to become a government.
But do you feel that people who would have protested before have lost the desire to reform that way?
As a person who formed a political party, we founded a party because we believe in parliamentary system. Not that street politics is not important. It's a life of democratic world, right? But we believe that a true change will have to come through parliament. And when people don't go out on the street, we don't think that's a really bad problem. Maybe because we are naive, maybe because I am too optimistic, but people believe in elections and parliamentary system. People still believe that now they have MPs they can trust working in the parliament and will make change through the system. Protests can happen again if the vote of the people is ignored. I think that's the time that people will unleash their anger again on the street. I don't wish for that. I believe and wish that the people's vote will be respected in the next election.
Cats or dogs?
I love to hate cats. Now I love them. I'm cat and dog person, which is rare.
You can only have one. Which one is it?
Cat.
Why?
They are very arrogant, and I love following around arrogant person or cat, and make sure that they know they are important, but I'm also important. So let's chit-chatting around when we want each other like that.
Okay. Should vaping be legal?
No, but we should have some kind of regulations for it.
Is vaping cute? When you see someone vaping, is it like, wow, like,
No.
is it like a turn off?
Not a turn off. I don't smoke tobacco or weed, but it's their right to smoke, right? I just wish there is more regulation on this, because now every time I open a window of my condominium, the smoke will come into my room because it's from another room, and I just don't like that.
Yeah, I know you love so much gay stuff, but I'm wondering, is there any part of like current gay culture that you're really into?
The thing is that I don't focus on LGBT series. I am actually opposed to having LGBT as a genre. LGBT should be normalized, right? You can have a romance genre, a horror genre, sci-fi genre, but you should not have LGBT genre, because a person can have relationship with a person. That doesn't matter. So to answer you honestly, I'm not following any series. I don't have enough time for that, but I do watch some film in Netflix.
What is one, I know this is hard, or who is one Thai artist that is currently inspiring you?
If I choose a random name, I will lie, because I don't really have anyone who can inspire me. Not because I am too good to be inspired by other people, but I don't take inspiration from any. My inspiration comes from my inner thought. I usually talk with myself, scrutinize myself. What's my goal this year? What's my goal right now? Am I doing the right thing? And I take inspiration from a conversation with myself.
You are somewhat of a contemporary fashion icon. I met you on a red carpet where there was crowds of people being like, wow. What is the trick to having a powerful presence?
Believe in what you are wearing. You can wear anything, but you have to believe that you are wearing the right thing. That's it.
Have you had times where you felt like you got there and you felt like, oh my God, I'm not wearing the right thing now? How do you avoid that?
When I say wearing a right thing, I don't mean the most beautiful, luxury, expensive outfit, but you wear the thing that represent you. in an important event, not on a daily basis. On a daily basis, I wear anything that I grab. But on important events, I will choose my outfit that will represent or that will speak my value. For example, Sean wants me to be her Miss Liberty. I agree with that because that's the value I share.
Lastly, your future, but like an extreme version of it. Imagine that you make it to being a really old lady, like 95 years old. What kind of life is elderly Chaw living?
Living still in a city because I'm addicted to a city, but in a cozy home with lots of book and a big oven. Because when turn 95, will have enough time to bake my bread and have my own yogurt, freshly squeezed orange juice every day. That's the kind of life I would see myself
In Thailand?
Anywhere in the world. I still wish to be able to live in Thailand when I am 95. Okay. Let's see.
Sure. All right, well, that's my interview. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.